Whoa. I think what grips our attention from the start is this fascinating expression that combines e, from the looks of it, e cosine and double factorial. And if you have taken calculus, you know there is this very nice relationship between factorial and e. So it seems like this problem is going to feature some nice interplay between factorials and e. This looks pretty exciting, so let's dive into the question. For any positive integer n, let 2n double factorial be the product of all positive even integers less than or equal to 2n. So 6 double factorial would be 6 times 4 times 2, all even integers from 6 down all the way to 2, or 48. And by convention, 0 double factorial is 1. If you're interested, if your number is odd, for example 5, the 5 double factorial is going to be the product of all the odd integers from 5 all the way down to 1, so in this case 15, and by convention negative 1 double factorial is also equal to 1. Anyway, now that we've acquainted ourselves with the double factorial, let's take a look at this expression. It can be shown that the summation from n equals to 0 to infinity of 1 over 6n double factorial, notice that we always have even integer, is a square root of e over 3 plus 2 over 3 times 4th root of e times cosine of this angle, where this data is between 0 and pi inclusive. Find data. Before we really try to establish the connection between double factorial and e, I think we should take this time to recognize Gabriel N, who was the very first person to answer this question correctly last week. A huge shout out to Gabriel N. Returning to the problem, we naturally look for a way to connect this expression to the famous expansion, the power series expansion of e to the x, which is a sum from n equals to 0 to infinity of x to the nth over n factorial. To do so, I think we should take a look at this 6n double factorial and see if we can rewrite it in terms of factorial instead. Well, 6n is even, so 6n double factorial is going to be 6n, 6n minus 2, 6n minus 4, all the way to 4 times 2. And since we are multiplying even numbers together, we can simply take out 2 from each expression. So we can take 2 out from here, 2 out from here, and so on. So the remaining part is going to be 3n times 3n minus 1 times 3n minus 2, all the way to 2 times 1, which is the familiar 3n factorial, not double factorial. But how many 2's are we taking out? Well, we start with 2 times 1, then 2 times 2, then we stretch all the way to 2 times 3n. So we are taking out 3n 2's, and what's remaining is 3n factorial. So our desired expression, sum from n equals to 0 to 1 over 6n double factorial, can be written as sum from n equals to 0 to infinity of 1 over 2 to the 3n times 3n factorial. And this looks remarkably similar to e to the x, when instead of x, we have x over 2. So if you think about replacing x with x over 2, then we have a sum from n equals to 0 to infinity of x to the n, then we have 2 to the n times n factorial. Let me actually expand out this summation a little bit. Here they are. Notice that out of all of these terms, we only care about the terms that are multiple of 3. Notice that we can get the value of our summation by adding up the coefficient of x to the 0, then coefficient of x cubed, then coefficient of x to the 6th, and so on. Before we start thinking about how to filter out certain coefficients, let's address a question you may have. Here you may ask me, why am I still writing all of these x's, which may look a little bit cumbersome? In the summation given to us, we don't have any x's, we just have 1. So why can't we just plug 1 into x and keep it nice and neat? Well, it's because often in mathematics, keeping the series in the power series form gives us more room to be flexible in our manipulations, because power series, so the power series is when we actually have x's, can be added, multiplied, differentiated, integrated in the way that we intuitively expect within the radius of convergence. In other words, we're going to have easier time transforming our series to the one that we want if we include all the x's as well. And in fact, that's about to help us, especially if you know a technique called roots of unity filter. In this video, I will assume some knowledge of roots of unity because introducing the entire concept of roots of unity in the single video would be unreasonable. That should really be in a separate video. But even if you know roots of unity, you may not have heard of roots of unity filter, which is a technique that can be used to filter out certain terms in a polynomial. Here is a nice polynomial we can use as an example. What roots of unity filter allows us to do is to calculate the sum of the coefficients of the terms whose exponent of x is a multiple of some integer n. In our case, we wish to add up the coefficients of x to 0, x cubed, x to 6, and so on. So in our case, we have n equals to 3. And what roots of unity filter tells you is that this sum is going to be p of 1 plus p of omega plus p of omega squared all the way to p of omega to the n minus 1 all divided by n, where this omega is, as you may expect, a primitive root of unity, or we can specifically let it be e to the 2 pi I divided by n. So what roots of unity filter is telling us is that we can find the sum of the coefficients of the terms whose exponent of x is a multiple of 3 by doing p of 1 plus p of omega plus p of omega squared all divided by 3, where omega is a cube root of unity, which is easy to find. So this is going to be 7 plus 4 plus 1. So the roots of unity filter gives us an alternate way of calculating the sum of certain coefficients without directly just adding them up. And in our case, directly adding up our coefficients is actually the entire point of doing this question. And as we are about to see, using roots of unity filter makes this calculation much easier. Before we proceed, let's actually prove the roots of unity filter technique. Treats the terms that are multiple of n differently than the terms that are not multiples of n. So I think we should apply some casework. Let's first try plugging in 1 omega squared all the way to omega to the n minus 1 into x to the some power of n. So we have this x to some k times n, and if we think about plugging 1 omega squared all the way to omega to the n minus 1 into x and adding up the results, then we are going to get 1 to the kn plus omega to the kn, omega to the 2kn, all the way to omega to the n minus 1 kn. But this is easy to evaluate because by definition, omega to the nth power is 1. So we know 1 to the n is obviously 1, omega to the n is going to be 1, then omega to the 2kn, well, omega to the n is 1, and so on. So we are just adding up a bunch of 1s, and specifically, we are adding up n 1s. So this is showing us that for the terms whose power is a multiple of n, so here I'm thinking of n as being 3, then inside this summation, our coefficient is going to be multiplied by n. So that's the reason we're dividing by n, so we only look at the coefficient. But what's perhaps more interesting is what happens if we plug all of these numbers into x to some power that's not a multiple of n. So what happens if we look at x to the k, where n does not divide k? Well, if we plug in all of these numbers into x, in that case, we are going to get 1 plus omega to the k plus omega to the 2k, all the way to omega to the n minus 1 times k. And here the important thing to notice is that we have a geometric series because omega to the k is not 1. That's what this condition guarantees. So we can safely simplify this using geometric series formula, a times 1 minus r to the n over 1 minus r, getting us 1 minus omega to the kn over 1 minus omega to the k because we have n terms. And once again, notice that we are not dividing by 0 because omega to the k is not equal to 1. That's important. And since omega to the n is 1, we have 0 in the numerator, so we have 0 for the entire fraction. That's telling us that during the summation, the coefficients not associated with multiples of n are canceling out. They are becoming zeros. Whereas the coefficients that we actually care about, that are the multiples of n, gets increased by this factor of n. So when we divide by n, we get the sum of the coefficients of all of the numbers of this form. That finishes the proof, so let's go all the way back to our problem and let's apply this roots of unity filter to finish it up. We know the value of our summation that we want is simply the sum of the coefficient, sum of the every third coefficient in this series. So we apply roots of unity filter to this, and once again, because a power series behaves so nicely, we can treat it as a polynomial, so we can directly apply roots of unity filter. And remember that this is e to the x over 2, so we have e to the x over 2, and we care about every third term, so we wish to plug 1 into x, omega into x, and omega squared into x and divide that by 3, where omega is the cube root of unity, 2 pi I divided by 3, and we know the third root of unity is going to be right here. So here is 1, here is 1, and here is 1. And if we are comfortable enough with unit circle, we can just eyeball it. So that's negative 1/2 plus square root of 3 over 2i, or you can actually use trigonometry to find it. And omega squared, that's that, using the same reasoning, is negative 1/2 minus square root of 3 over 2i. This is telling us that the value of our summation is e to the 1/2 plus e to the omega over 2, that's negative 1/4 plus square root of 3 over 4i, plus e to the omega squared over 2, that's this thing over 2, negative 1/4 minus square root of 3 over 4i, all divided by 3. And now let's break this expression apart a little bit. We have e to the 1/2 divided by 3. And in the rest of them, we can factor out e to the negative 1/4 because we have them, that's common. And the remaining portion is e to the square root of 3 over 4i plus e to the negative square root of 3 over 4i. And by the Euler's formula, we can simplify this as well. But before we do so, let's quickly rewrite this part. We know e to the square root of 3 over 4i is cosine of square root of 3 over 4 plus I times the sine of square root of 3 over 4 by the Euler's formula. And using the same thing, we know e to the negative square root of 3 over 4i is going to be cosine of negative square root of 3 over 4, that's same as positive square root of 3 over 4, plus I times sine of negative square root of 3 over 4, that's same as negative I times the sine of square root of 3 over 4. And we see that imaginary parts cancel out as they should and as we expect. So we have a square root of e over 3 plus 1 over 3 times the fourth root of e. And to top it all off, we realize that we have 2 times the cosine of square root of 3 over 4. Let's focus on this value. Going all the way back up to our original problem statement, we realize that the value of data that we are looking for is square root of 3 over 4.